Good evening and welcome to the 15th Kresge Eminent Artist Award celebration. It's my pleasure to invite you to join us in honoring 2023 Kresge Eminent Artist Dr. Melba Joyce Boyd. The Kresge Eminent Artist Award is a $50,000 no-strings-attached prize. It also comes with a monograph published by the Kresge Foundation each year. The award shines a light on an artist whose contributions to Detroit's cultural environment, as well as their influence on their art form, are simply unmistakable. Clearly, Dr. Boyd's work as a poet, scholar, essayist, editor, and filmmaker not just meet this criteria, but exceed it. We're so excited that she is among the handful of artists who've received the Kresge Eminent Artist Award to date. The Kresge Foundation established the Kresge Arts in Detroit office in order to celebrate and to support Detroit artists. Our office is generously funded by the Kresge Foundation and supported and administered by the College for Creative Studies. We're so grateful to the Kresge Foundation for centering individual artists in their strategy with Detroit, and it's now my pleasure to introduce Wendy Lewis-Jackson, Managing Director of the Kresge Foundation.
Thank you, Christina. We appreciate all the work that you and your team at Kresge Arts in Detroit do to convene the panel that elevates the wealth of talent in our community to bring us one Kresge Eminent Artist each year. You know these names: Charles McGee, Marcus Belgrave, Bill Harris, Naomi Long-Madgett, David DeChiara, Bill Rawhauser, Ruth Adler-Schnee, Lenny Sinclair, Patricia Terry Ross, Wendell Harrison, Gloria House, Marie Wu, Shirley Woodson, Olalami Dobbles. That's an incredible honor roll, assembled since 2008. These artists have all made outsized contributions to our community and made their vision felt far beyond Metro Detroit. They have been hometown heroes and ambassadors to the world. And we are very happy to get on our soapbox to very publicly say thanks to them. And tonight, it's an honor for me to be a part of a program celebrating the artistry of our 2023 eminent artist, Melba Joyce Boyd. Melba is a poet, a scholar, a teacher, an essayist, a filmmaker, a biographer, and more. Melba is a deep thinker, and Melba is a breath of fresh air. She recently said her story, the story that she tells in her writing, is absolutely a Detroit story, and she is absolutely right. It's a story of the Great Migration from the South and the generation that grew up in the less than promised land of up north Detroit. It's a story that has strains of jazz, blues, and Motown. It's a story that stars the groundbreaking Detroit poet publishers, Naomi Long-Madgett and Dudley Randall, two of the giants whose shoulders she stands on. It's a story of the civil rights movement and the Black arts movement. It's a story of the whirlwind of the 1960s and 70s that has never stopped blowing. To borrow something she once said about her fellow Detroit poets, Melba is nurtured in the vitality and complexity of a city bound to the grit and bravado of urban struggle. And yet, this isn't just a Detroit story, or just a Black story, or just a story of Melba's life and time. For instance, Melba may not leap tall buildings in a single bound, but leaping from Frederick Douglass to Gil Scott-Heron to Childish Gambino in a single essay is a definition of a superpower in our book. Best of all, Melba invites us to make those leaps along with her, which is what art is all about. And now let me introduce Don Tusky, president of the College for Creative Studies. We have a great film about Melba to share, and Don is here to set it up.
Thank you, Kresge Foundation, for recognizing Dr. Melba Joyce Boyd's significant career as an award-winning poet, essayist, biographer, editor, distinguished professor, and filmmaker. I would like to congratulate her for being named a 2023 Kresge Eminent Artist on behalf of the College for Creative Studies. With a storied career spanning more than 5 decades in the arts, Dr. Boyd has received numerous state and national awards, including multiple Library of Michigan Notable Book Awards. She also received the Spirit of Detroit Award for extraordinary service to the city of Detroit. We are very fortunate to have such a prolific poet, artist, and scholar like Dr. Boyd in our community. Dr. Boyd's significant work continues through her writing, art, and teaching as chair of African American Studies at Wayne State University. As a fellow educator, I particularly appreciate the importance of this role and its impact on our future. It is an honor to administer Kresge Arts in Detroit on behalf of the Kresge Foundation and to celebrate Dr. Boyd as a 2023 Kresge Eminent Artist. And now we are pleased to premiere a new short film celebrating Dr. Boyd's lifetime of achievements. Thank you.
We want our city back. We want our streetlights on. We want our garbage gone. We want our children playing on playgrounds, but not with loaded guns. We want to retire by the river and raise collard greens in abandoned fields. We want our ancestors to rest in peace. We want our city back. The summers were longer then, when I kept frogs and turtles in the shade of the sunflowers and the quaking aspen Daddy planted my third spring. Daddy reads with the ambience of sunflowers and Saturdays. A lot of my poems are about people in my family, people I've known, people I have not known, but also what's happened in Detroit to document the feelings and the responses of the community.
I can see the images in her work, and Melba does that better than anybody.
She tackles like global issues, but from this very unique perspective that is Black. It's Black woman, Black mother. It is us in Detroit.
This marked the beginning of a major cultural era in African American poetry. When I began to work with Dudley Randall at the Broadside Press, that was the first time any of my poetry was published. And from the time he started the press in 1965 until 1976, we printed 90 titles of single-authored books as well as anthologies. I felt it was also my responsibility to follow the lead of Dudley Randall and Naomi LaMaggia, which is to preserve the culture, to preserve the literature. I thought it was important for poets to represent their reality and, as much as possible, the reality from whence they came. When I was a freshman, Dr. King was assassinated. And so the idea of being able to teach became a dream of mine. My goal was to teach Black American literature. Detroit is a really great place for artists. There's always something happening. We're connected. Like Detroit's West Side, where he became, reflecting on the arc of tree limbs, supplying fresh oxygen for lungs and cool shade for sizzling summer days. When I think about legacy, when I'm leaving behind, I just wanted to have some value and to help other artists to continue to value poetry.
You can't timestamp her. There's a transparency and a rawness, and a day in and day out, Melba Boyd is a pure writer. 4 or 5 decades, she was always that, and she always excelled.
Dr. Boyd's work has touched several continents. It's translated into several languages. Dr. Boyd has a decades long career of creating, of educating, of being a historian.
I hope that my work serve as a portal into understanding at least one person, but I'm hoping that anybody who is looking for some understanding of the human experience will get something when they read my work, when they see my work.
Thanks to Real Clever Films for that glimpse into Dr. Boyd's world. The filmmakers who worked on this piece include Eden Sabalboro, Amanda Tingley, Thad Sabelboro, and Darian Pope. My name is Katie McGowan. I work as Deputy Director of Kresge Arts in Detroit. One of the most rewarding aspects of my job is facilitating the Kresge Eminent Artist selection process. Working with artists and cultural workers from the community means getting unique insight into the work of each nominee. Thank you to the 2023 Kresge Eminent Artist Selection panelists: Gil Ashby, 2015 Kresge Artist Fellow Con Satori Davison, 2018 Kresge Eminent Artist Wendell Harrison, Scheherazade Washington Parrish, and Grace Sarah. Thank you. Next up, we have some poetry and music. Following the performance, we'll hear from Dr. Boyd herself. Enjoy.
I'm Melba Joyce Boyd, and I'll be reading my original compositions. And I am accompanied today with musicians, Detroit-based musicians, and New York. We have Marion Hayden on bass. We have Rod Williams on piano, Tariq Gardner on drums, and our vocalist is Shahida Nurullah. We want our city back. 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 We want our streetlights on. We want our garbage gone. We want our children playing on playgrounds, but not with loaded guns. We want to retire by the river and plant collard greens in abandoned fields. We want our ancestors to rest in peace. We want our city back. We don't want law and order, we want justice and jobs. We don't want small business, we mean serious business. No more cheap dollar stores, no more mom and pop wig shops, no more Mickey D's rapping with the homies, no more Dixie Colonels serving kente cloth cuisine, no more Taco Supreme, no more indigestion or quick fix politics. We want our city back. We don't want police harassing the homeless for being without a lease. We don't want video cops busting crackheads with flashlights at night. We want peacekeepers to capture the real dope men, reclining in respectable privilege. We want our taxes to track down uniformed assassins. We want our city back. We don't want Eurocentric or Afro-eccentric educations. We want a freedom curriculum. We want a liberated vision in history remembered. We don't want our children worshiping the old world order into Egypt pork grease. We don't want them crunched like computer chips to fit with GM execs or to be rejects in labor camps. We want the Board of Education to take a lie detector test for neglect of the intellect, for assault on our children's senses. We want dignity, not cupidity. We want our city back. No more tech sex mess. No more zoot mayors shuffling skeletons and abuses like gamblers losing paychecks in Boulder City casinos. No more ex-basketball playing suburban bingling mayors, ignoring inner city citizens living next to dilapidated buildings with boarded up windows and bolted doors, where junkies, rodent, and vermin breed. We want our city back. We want the river dredge for distraught souls. We want our homes rebuilt. We want the guilty to pay a greed tax for the livings they stole. No more poisoned water. No more Republican managers who emerge but cannot see crumbling roads and broken trees. We want our city back. And we want our country back from this rebirth of a racist nation. No more tyrant who shake hands with the Ku Klux Klan, who jail immigrant children at the border, who God painted tan. Back from depraved liars who order attacks on peaceful protesters, then pose in front of a church with a Bible flipped and reversed. No more demented narcissists who assault women for sex and socialize with born dictators to plot sabotage of presidential elections. We want our country back. Hey, we ain't escaping to Canada like fugitive slaves or American refugees escaping psychotic patriots. Our backs are up against the wall. This is our clarion call. Feed the hungry, clothe the naked, heal the sick, enlighten the ignorant, and raise the dead. We want our street lights on. We want our garbage gone. We want to be rid of smack and crack. We want to retire by the river and raise collard greens in abandoned fields. We want our ancestors to rest in peace. We are seizing the hour, 'cause we mean to take our city back. Sunflowers and Saturdays for John Percy Boyd I. Daddy sits in his brown leather chair, back straight, brow tight behind the rims of his glasses. He studies my poetry with precise algebraic words, printed perfectly balanced with the center of the page. His hair waves into even black curves, streaked with silver, as smooth as my childhood, cuddled in his lap on a Saturday afternoon. Sneaking a sip of beer, studying the red scar above his right eye, fixed on a crossword puzzle or speck of dust diving into the TV screen. The summers were longer then, when I kept frogs and turtles in the shade of sunflowers and the quaking aspen Daddy planted my third spring. Still an ignorant child, sulking justice, I build poems from chipped and narrow fractions. Daddy reads with the ambience of sunflowers and Saturdays yesterday afternoon. Rock steady for Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul. Aretha sang the way Black folks sing when they leave themselves alone. Ray Charles. God lifted her regal voice, invoking her father's seamless faith and mission, marching with Martin. She sings for our king, for his vision, for his dream.
Mary, don't you weep. Pharaoh's army got around.
Her songs soar with angels, strengthen our resolve, demand respect, to think, to do right, despite racial strife, or cause some low-down man inflicting endless grief on a woman's pain. Cause
Ain't no way for me to love you.
hailing from New Bethel Baptist, her gospels bring healing to sorrow, subvert suffering and inspire choirs, preachers in pulpits, and even the Pope.
Gotta find me an angel.
Her rhythm and blues are liberation anthems, bridges over troubled waters, elevating inaugurations for Presidents Clinton and Obama, crowning her legacy gold with the Freedom Medal of Honor.
What it is, what it is, what it is.
Amazing grace, how sweet is her sound. Born in Memphis and raised up in Detroit City, reaching Spanish Harlem with spiritual reverberations, scaling a nation's blues, revolutionizing American music, blessing an entire world, making us whole.
What it is, what it is, what it is. What it is, what it is, what it is.
Sister Ree's gone home.
Mary, don't you weep. Martha, don't you roll.
Rock steady, baby. Rock steady for Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul.
Rock steady, baby. Rock steady, baby. Rock steady, baby. Rock steady, baby. Ooh.
Want to thank the musicians. Got Rod Williams, made in Detroit, now living in the Big Apple. Marion Hayden on bass. Tariq Gardner on drums. And on vocals, Shahida Nurullah.
Rock steady. Rock steady. Rock steady.
would like to thank the Kresge Foundation for recognizing my work and through this award supporting the continuation of my work, both my creative and my scholarly activities, which are actually interrelated. I'm a poet who studies poets, and at this point, I really want to focus on looking at my life, writing my memoirs, and thinking about all of the wonderful experiences I've had becoming an artist, living in the city of Detroit. I had the great fortune to have had two of the finest poets in Detroit, Dudley Randall and Naomi Long Madgett. And I worked with Dudley Randall at the Broadside Press when I first returned to Detroit from Kalamazoo after finishing my BA and my MA in English there. And it was just really a wonderful experience. He was the first person to publish me. And I met Naomi Long Madgett at my very first poetry reading, and she also extended her interest and support of my work, and those were lifelong relationships. And I was very blessed to have had them in my life and to be able at this point also to return that by writing about them, by doing documentary films about their lives. And so this is, my work is an extension of the teachers I had since elementary school, Mr. Howard in fifth grade, who was really strict and hard on me, Mr. Wilkins, who taught us not only traditional American songs, but also promoted the Negro spirituals, which we would also sing in concerts. It was through basically the public educational system, which I cannot advocate enough, where I learned my love of music, my love of dance, my love of writing. My father taught me to read when I was only 4 years old, and we always had books in the house. We always had trips to the library. I wrote a poem about my grandmother and her taking me to the library and getting books to bring home. But also, she would buy books, and we'd have those in our family library. I come from also a mother who was an educator. Her activities in Detroit Public Schools were in physical education, so I do have an athletic background. I played basketball, and I was a cheerleader, and I saw all of these experiences as coming together to make me a person who could actually have a broad view of people, humanity. Growing up in Detroit, especially during the 1950s and 60s, there were classmates of various backgrounds, and having that broad view of, who we are as Detroiters, and also being able to carry that forward into the world as I began to travel and to read my poetry, to be published in different languages, in German and now in French. I've been published in Italian. It's important to realize that without my family, in particular, right now I'm thinking of like my husband, James Kenyon, who is my first editor and my first critic. Whenever I finish something, he reads it and then gives it back, and then I have to suffer through those corrections and suggestions. But he's really great and has always been very supportive of my work, and also he is a fine writer himself. And that's been a real blessing in these last couple of decades. My daughter, I've always worked with other musicians, other visual artists. I worked with Marcus Belgrave. I worked with Donald Walden and Ken Cox. And through them, I also met and started working with Marion Hayden. And we've done a number of gigs in a number of settings, including we did a gig in Germany, which was with German musician, and it was just like so cool. I should give a shout out to Michel Sievert. Since we'll be recording this, he'll be able to see it, but also a fabulous jazz musician in Bremen, Germany. I think it's important to also recognize that what I see as my role as an artist is to help us better understand who we are, as human beings. Robert Hayden, think, once said that when you're writing, you're trying to get down to what is fundamentally human and to connect with other humans. As King was saying, justice here is injustice everywhere. And it is what I try to do as an artist, and I hope that my poetry and my scholarship is it's there in this place where I'm trying to help people understand that we have a responsibility to the human race, but also to this planet, and to get people to be less selfish and more generous with their time, their energy, their attitudes, their aspirations. And that's not always really easy in the United States, because it's a real selfish country. And the individualism is a part of what's ingrained, being great, being a star. But ultimately and finally, it's about giving. I want a better world for my children, my grandchildren, and I want them to also. And I think it's so important that at this point in time in history that we appreciate the arts. So much is going into technology, and it's reducing, I think, our sensitivity to one another. But take that technology and use it to also celebrate our creative abilities as a race, as a people, as a species, and include artistic expressions by people and share those expressions, across the oceans and across and around the planet. And I think that's really important for anybody, whether they're an artist or not. But what artists should be doing is inspiring people wherever they are to recognize that we have a responsibility not only for ourselves, but for each other. Also, at this point, I have to thank Wayne State University that has been very supportive of my work over the years, and as well as the University of Michigan, which is my alma mater. When I was doing my project on Dudley Randall, I was actually professor at the University of Michigan on the Flint campus, and I got funding from Rackham to finish this documentary on Dudley Randall, who was also an alma mater of Michigan, so I think that kind of helped. But I just really appreciate and respect public education and public schools, and I see so much of that wealth of intelligence and culture that we can see in our peers, and I can see in my own children, and I can see in my neighbors and my friends, and how we've been able to create a really, really rich identity as artists here in the city of Detroit. And for those who don't realize it, Detroit carries a lot of really heavy cultural weight. When you're out there, you have to be able to step up because there's a lot expected from us. So I would like, to finish by just saying that when I was a little girl, I used to shop with my allowance at the Kresge 5 and dime store, and I would buy lots of candy and small toys and things. I never knew that I would get that money back with interest, shall we say, actually about 60 years later. But I really do appreciate that Kresge is an institution that is investing in the arts and in particular into Detroit artists.
Thank you for joining us to celebrate this year's Kresge Eminent Artist Dr. Melba Joyce Boyd. I appreciate each of the artists and arts professionals who gathered and shared your time so generously in order to make the selection this year. Thank you also to my colleagues in the Kresge Arts in Detroit office, including Katie McGowan, Jordan Duckins, Asa Keeley Gardner, Ebony Jones, Nicole Peterson, and Angelina Starseski. Also thanks to the leadership team of the College for Creative Studies, including Don Pesky, and of course to the Kresge Foundation. We deeply appreciate your leadership with regard to support to individual artists and all art within Detroit, and this includes nearly $7.5 million of direct, no-strings-attached support to 315 artists to date, and that number continues to rise. Rip Rapson, Wendy Lewis Jackson, Kim Herron, Michelle Perrin, and everyone with the Kresge Foundation. Again, thank you on behalf of Detroit artists. One final congratulations to Dr. Melba Joyce Boyd on your very well-deserved award. We look forward to celebrating you and your perspectives throughout this year and, of course, well beyond. Thank you again to everyone for joining us, and good night.